Anchor is the easiest way to make a podcast. Anchor gives you everything you need in one place for free, which you can use right from your phone or computer. Creation tools allow you to record and edit your podcast so it sounds great. They'll distribute your podcast for you so it can be heard everywhere: Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and many more. You can easily make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. Download the Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started today. I'm Michael Chabot, and I'm here to tell you that there will always be challenges in life, and in some cases, like mine, tragedies. But human beings are resilient. All you need to do is make a decision today. Follow me on this journey to hope, and together we will live, we will learn, and we will grow. And hopefully, we will find some hope in every day. Welcome to my journey to hope. Hey guys, so this episode it's kind of two parts. One is going to be kind of a recap from the last episode, and then moving forward, the back end of this episode is going to be about what Andy Frisella calls the power list, and I'll get more into that shortly. But, I just wanted to talk about, on my last episode, a bump in the road to my journey to hope. I talked about getting ready to go on our first family vacation since Gabriella's passing, and the anxiety that I was experiencing prior to going. And, I will tell you that the trip was very hard. It was a lot harder than I anticipated. My family has been blessed with the ability to go to Hawaii. We went almost every summer since my kids were small. And obviously we didn't go last year. We didn't take a vacation. And this year we did. We went to a different island. We normally would go to the big island of Hawaii and stay at our favorite resort. But as fate would have it, it was sold and it's closed for refurbishment. And I don't think we would have been able to go there anyway. There's just too many memories as a family. But we decided to go. And for the most part, it was a really good trip. But definitely felt weird being 4 instead of 5, especially when we would go out to dinner. I think that was the hardest part. We really felt the absence. And my kids, my son and my daughter, didn't, really say anything about it or acknowledge it, but I'm sure they felt it too. And my wife and I try to talk about Gabriella as much as possible, saying, I wonder if Gab would like this, or I wonder if Gab would like that. And, if Gabriella was here, she'd say that or do this. But, one night in particular, we barbecued and sat, they had barbecues by the pool, which then was right next to the beach. And so we barbecued by the pool and sat there as a family, ate dinner. And then my wife and I took a cocktail down to the beach and sat on the beach and watched the sunset. And, we both shared a lot of tears that night. I think it was kind of the moment where it kind of just all hit us. And, we looked at pictures from the last time we went to Hawaii. We went on a sunset cruise, and my wife and I took all these amazing and wonderful pictures with Gabriella. And as a matter of fact, the one picture that we used for her prayer card for her service, and I have as my case for my iPhone, and my wife has the picture on her phone as well, is from that sunset cruise that we took in the summer of 2017. And so many amazing pictures and so many amazing memories. But that night on the beach, my wife and I sat there and we cried. And it was hard. It was harder than I expected. It was the first time ever in going to Hawaii that I just never really relaxed. Like usually I'm just chill and have a great time and completely relax, and I just never really could unwind. It was really interesting, and I told my wife, I think we need to do something different. It's time for a change. It's time to try something else and see what what we can do. Let's create some new memories. And It definitely was surprising. It was definitely harder than I thought, but I also know that it was another step in moving forward. It was another step in my journey to hope. And I'll transition there and talk about. So, in my episode, How Hockey Saved My Life, I talked about how basically all of my best friends in my life, except for some, have come from the game of hockey. And there's a gentleman that I know that, God, I've known him since he was a teenager, and now he's a man, he's an adult, and great hockey player, and even better man. I mean, he always smiles. He's got this warm smile. He's got this warm heart, and he's the kind of guy you love him as soon as you meet him because he's all heart. He's just an amazing person. And I haven't seen him in a while. He went through his own tragedy. He was diagnosed first with stage 3 Hodgkin's disease, which he beat. And then he went back and was diagnosed with stage 4 Hodgkin's disease. And I had heard while I was on vacation that he had come out and played hockey in one of the Saturday morning pickups that I play. And I'm recording this on Sunday. So yesterday morning I walked in the room and I was talking to all the boys, and then I look and I see him. And I was like, no way, man. I cannot believe it. It's so good to see you. And he said the same to me. And we shared this hug that was I felt like I was hugging a brother. And it was amazing. And it was almost awkward because the hug was so long, because I was hugging him for what he's been through and his journey and his tragedy. And thank God he told me that, all his scans have come back clean. He's cancer free and he's doing really well. And I'm so happy for him. But, my hug was for him and what I know he's been through, and his hug was for me and for what he knows I've been through. And it was a special moment. And it just reminded me how special the game of hockey is and how I've met some of the greatest people on earth through the game. And it's funny, sitting to my left was a friend of mine that since my daughter's passing, he checks in with me all the time, and he himself has gone through tragedies. He's gone through a divorce and lots of things in his life, very difficult. And through it all, he would reach out to me and say, hey man, I'm praying for you. I'm sending you my love. Right. So he asked me in that moment yesterday morning, he's like, how was your trip? Was it the first time you guys have gone since your daughter passed? And I said, yeah, it's the first time we've been since my daughter passed away. And then my buddy who had, kicked cancer's ass said to me, dude, I don't want to bring it up. I know it's awkward, but he said, man, I just want you to know that I've been thinking about you and I've been wanting to reach out to you so many times, but I just didn't know what to say. And I understand. I mean, what do you say to somebody who's lost a child, right? What do you say? You know that their world has been shattered. You know their heart has been, demolished into a million pieces. And, in that moment, we both got, watery eyes. And I just said to him, hey, man, I appreciate it. And, he told me that the school where my daughters went, Lorena, they held a service for my daughter, a candlelight service for my daughter. My wife and I didn't go because it was like a day or two after she passed away and we just weren't ready. But he and his wife went, and just to know that they were there in support of our family. And he said, my wife and I pray for you guys all the time. And, it was moving. And then yesterday I told him about the podcast, and I told him I would love to interview him and have him on the podcast and do an episode talking about his journey and what he's been through and the courage it takes to stand up and fight and the things that we talk about here. And I know that this is my journey to hope and this is my story, but I want to share his journey too. And I'd like to have other people that I share to show that human beings are resilient. We can get up off the mat. We can fight, and we can show others that there is hope. And so as soon as we can, he and I are going to record that episode and talk about that journey. And, he shared with me yesterday, he and his wife listened to my first episode, The Tragedy, and he sent me a text, and, the feedback he gave me was amazing. And then he sent me his Instagram link. He basically, documented his entire journey through his cancer. and everything he had to go through. And I was sitting there, I looked at it yesterday, and I was literally in tears for a couple reasons. Number one, just to know that a friend had to go through that, and how scared he must have been. And during the whole thing, he just stayed positive. He was always smiling, like, through all of it. And some of the stories that he told, and he did some videos and things. And man, I was sitting there thinking, I'm so blessed. I'm so freaking blessed. And here I am sometimes thinking, like, how terrible my life is because I lost my daughter. But, you see stuff like that and you're like, damn, that's rough. And I think the message of all of it is that first and foremost is we got to lean on each other as human beings, because life is hard. There are a lot of things that come across our plates in this lifetime, and it's hard. And we need people in our lives that can help hold us up and show us examples of how freaking tough we can be as human beings. And it really starts with my episode 2. It starts with a decision. He could have easily decided to retreat and feel sorry for himself and give up. But there's no way in hell he would do that. And he chose to fight. And he won. And that's an inspiration to all of us. I can't wait to have him on. I'm not going to tell you his name now. I'll let him introduce himself when he comes on. And I look forward to that. And, it's interesting because yesterday when we got home, my wife and I both felt pretty antsy and anxious on the flight home, because when you come home after being away from home for a while, we've traveled to hockey tournaments and other things. And when you come back, it's a slap in the face. It's a reminder of our daughter being gone. And yesterday morning, I was just feeling a little down when I walked into that room, and to see him and see his face, it was just, I know it was God. It was God just saying, hey, I want to show you what it's about. I want to show you why to be happy. I want to show you why you're grateful. And it worked. So just remember, no matter what you're going through, there's things in your life that you can be grateful for, even if it's as little as waking up in the morning and being able to open your eyes and stand up straight with a healthy body and know that you can achieve things. You can get things done. You have the capability. The brain is a funny thing, right? The brain is the most powerful supercomputer in the world, but yet the brain is what stops us the most. Right? Because the brain is meant to protect us, to keep us comfortable. Nobody ever became successful with living in the comfort zone. The brain is what says to you in the morning when your alarm goes off at, in my case, 5 or 5:30 or 6 or whatever time you get up. That says, ooh, 5 more minutes. Just stay in bed. Keep the covers on. It's cold. Whatever it might be. And you have to learn to push. And I think I talked about it. I read a book called The 5-Second Rule, and what she does is she counts from 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, get up. And I tried that, and it works like a charm. Let me tell you, if there's things that you're hesitating in doing in life, try the 5-second rule. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And one of my friends asked me, well, why can't you count back or count forward? Because the brain is smart. The brain knows that at 0, that's it. You have to take action. If you count up to 5, it knows that after 5, there's more numbers. It's like hitting the snooze button. So anyway, great book. I recommend it, The 5-Second Rule. So I want to transition now into what Andy Frisella calls the power list. Power list has changed my life. I've had success before. I've talked about it in other episodes. I've been successful in my business. But a lot of it was just, from the seat of my pants. Right? And the power list really changes the game. And I want to lay out some parameters that he talks about that's very important. And again, I want to tell you that this is nothing that I came up with. This is something that I listened to his podcast and I took from him, and it works like a freaking charm. I mean, it is what it is, right? And before we get into it, let's talk about, he does an episode all about it, and it's called Win the Day. And the philosophy behind the power list is that if you win the day, if you can win enough days of the week, you win the week. If you can win enough weeks, you win the month. If you win enough months, you win the year. And in that year, you will see a ginormous transformation in your life. And it could be your career. It could be your relationships. It could be, your parenting. It could be working out. And in my case, I have all of those things incorporated on my power list. And it really goes back to, if you want to be great in anything, you got to do the work. And you got to do it consistently day after day. Once you reach the mountaintop, you can't stop. There's another peak. Or if that is the highest peak, if you stop, you'll start to slide back down, right? I'm in sales. I'm in finance and in sales, right? And in sales, you have to make phone calls. You have to continue to sell. You have to continue to be great. And unfortunately, you're only as good as your last sale, right? You could be great, 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 and then screw it up and you're done. And that's life. You have to be consistent. You have to give 100% effort in everything you do if you want to be successful. And as Andy says in his episode, Win the Day, I don't know anybody who doesn't want to be successful. Ask anybody. Most people want to be successful in life. They want to be the best at what they do, the best in sports, the best, the best husband, the best father, the best wife, the best mother, right? People want to be successful. And so that's really what it takes. I love, he talks about in that episode, he talks about Jerry Rice and how Bill Walsh, who was the coach of the San Francisco 49ers at the time, had to shorten the practice field because every pass, whether it was a 5-yard or a 10-yard slant, Jerry Rice would run it for a touchdown, 80 yards, right? They'd be on the 20-yard line. He'd run it. And the coach, Bill Walsh, would say, Jerry, why do you have to run every ball to the end zone? Well, Jerry had to give 100% on every down, on every play. In football, they do something called walkthroughs, where they just kind of walk through the plays without pads on. And Jerry did it at 100%. And again, the coach would say, Jerry, this is supposed to be a walkthrough, but he couldn't do it that way because he made an agreement with himself that he would be the best and he would always give 110%, period. He would always give it his all. And of course, what happened in those walkthroughs and in those practices when Jerry gave 100%? It raised the level of his teammates' play around him. It brought everybody else up, right? And that's the lesson to be learned, is that if you bring that to your job every day, or if you're a mom and you're a stay-at-home mom and you bring that every day, or maybe you're a stay-at-home dad and you bring that every day into raising your kids and doing what you need to do every day, you raise everybody else up. You inspire everybody else around you. And look, these things are what have given me hope, right? This is what's given me hope after the loss of my daughter, because when my daughter passed away that night, I remember saying to my therapist, because I called him that night, and I said, how will my life ever be the same again? How do I care about anything else ever again? And, I've said this in other episodes because I'm a fixer. I like to fix problems. I like to come in and fix things. You can't fix this. Death is finite. You can't fix it. There's nothing you can do. And so things like this are what's helped me on my journey to hope and have given me hope. And let's talk about the power list. And something very important, Andy talks about it. The power list is not for your goals. It's not for the week. It's every day, each day. So this is it. Now I use a planner or a small notebook that just has line pages on it. And I can put a link if you'd like. Andy actually sells one that has numbers and it has everything. But let me tell you what I use. So I use a planner. It's just a line planner. And here's how it starts. Let's just say it's Monday. So I put Monday and the date at the top. And then number it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And those 5 things for that day are the critical tasks that I want to achieve that day, right? So, for example, when I started my power list using it, which has now been, I want to say I started it in April, like the end of April, maybe early April. And one of the things I wanted to start doing was reading again. I'd gotten away from it. I'd gotten lazy, started, binge watching TV shows like most of us. And I wanted to get back to reading, but everything that I read is either, self-help, self-improvement, business. I do read a lot of, sports biographies because I think sports has a lot of, it relates really well to life, right? You can learn so much from sports to be, competitive and successful in life. So for me, The first thing on my list at the beginning was my morning routine, right? Get up at whatever time I say I'm going to get up. An hour in the gym, meditation, journaling, and my cold shower. That was number one. Number two was make X amount of calls to past clients. Number three was always, make X amount of calls to my business partners or my referral partners who send me business. Number four was to eat healthy every meal that day, right? So healthy breakfast, healthy snack, healthy lunch, healthy snack, healthy dinner, right? And number five was read 10 pages every day. And so the idea is, as you complete each task, you draw a line through it. And at the end of the day, if you've completed all 5 tasks, at the top of the page, you write a W and you circle it because you've won the day, right? And the idea is, as you win days and you win weeks, you earn something special. You earn confidence. And I talked about this in a previous episode. There's a huge difference between earned confidence and perceived confidence. If you make an agreement with yourself and you keep it and you achieve it and you succeed at it, you start to build that inner confidence, that earned confidence, that when you look at yourself in the mirror, you love the person in the mirror. That's how it works, guys. There's no secret sauce. It's making agreements with yourself. It's making those decisions and sticking with them. That's it. And I've said this before, and Andy talks about this. The key to success is getting really good at the mundane things in life and doing them over and over again. That's it. That is it. That's how it's done. That's how basketball players become successful, right? They get there early, they stay late and shoot free throws and three-pointers. Football players, Jerry Rice, running, having somebody stay late and throw him balls. Hockey players who stay on the ice and work on their skating and their shooting or their passing or whatever it might be. That's what it takes. That's what it takes. So if you're in sales, you have to prospect. That's what it takes to be successful in sales. Prospect. Past clients and referral partners. That's the key for me, right? So here's the deal. What's the next step, right? So what you're doing is day by day, you're building habits, right? So for me, let's just use the read 10 pages every night before I go to bed. And I like to be asleep by 10 o'clock because I wake up at 5 a.m. So what do you think that tells me? Well, I need to be upstairs by 9:30, teeth brushed, whatever I need to do, everything laid out, set up for the night before so that I can read my 10 pages. And after 30 days of successfully reading 10 pages or whatever it is that you put on that list, maybe it's working out, going for a run, whatever it might be, after 30 days, you take it off because now it's become a habit, right? And I know everybody says there's different things, 60 days, 90 days, whatever it is. But in Andy's world, he says, look, after you've done it 30 days consistently, you take it off the list and you make room for something else. And again, remember, it's 5 critical tasks that you need to complete that day. So what I do is I fill it out the night before I go to bed. It's one of the last things I do after I read my 10 pages. I cross off my final line. And actually, I took it off now because I read 10 pages religiously, and now I'm more like 20, 30 pages a night. But you cross it off. I'd write my W, and then I would make my list for the next day. Once in a while, I'll leave one blank area because I know, something critical may come up in the morning that maybe I'm not thinking of now, so I can fill that in. But as much as possible, I like to have it filled in before the next day. And that might be, hey, meet with this person, do this critical task. It could be something that I need to get done around my house, like call this person because this is important. I have to have this done, or take your car in to, it's got to be critical tasks. 5 critical tasks, no more than 5. No more than 5. Why? Because you're not going to get it done. And I like this, as Andy says, look, what happens? He says, people ask him all the time, well, what happens when I get my 5 done? Great. You're done. Now you got the rest of the day to do whatever you want. You've won the day. That's awesome. Celebrate it. Feels great. And this is what he says also, is that nobody's perfect and you are going to lose some days. And I've lost some days where I just couldn't get to that last task. And writing that L at the top of the page and circling it hurts like a mofo. I mean, it hurts me bad because I'm competitive. I hate to lose. And seeing that L, it hurts me. And so it motivates me to do more and to do better and to push forward. So I challenge you to try this. Like I said, Andy uses a notebook where he can just add paper to it. You can buy a planner at the store. Like I have a nice one that it's like leather bound and it has a strap on it. I don't know what you call it. It's almost like a journal. It's the same thing I use for my journal, just a different color. And again, it's numbered 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's how you do it. It's not that difficult, but don't screw it up. Andy says that some people screw it up because they put goals on the list. It's not about goals. It's not a weekly list. It's a daily list of critical tasks that you have to achieve to move yourself forward to whatever you're trying to succeed at in life. You want to be in great shape? Then every day on your list has to be something for working out, cardio, going for a walk, going for a swim, going for a run, weight room, whatever it might be. But don't let yourself get comfortable. Don't cheat yourself, right? It's easy. Oh, well, don't put easy tasks. Don't stay in the comfort zone. They've got to be things that push you, that make you stretch. It can't be easy. It's got to be difficult. That's the only way to achieve greatness. We'll use Jerry Rice as an example. I mean, no denying that he is the best receiver to ever play in the NFL, if not maybe the best player to ever play. And do you think he became that way by, I'm tired. I'm just going to, call it off early today. I'm just going to say that, I did it and that's it. No, he made a decision and an agreement with himself that he would be the best and that he would challenge himself every day to be the best and stay the best. And that's what he did. And he only retired when he got older. And, unfortunately for those of us that are athletes, men or women, we know that as we get older, our body it does slow down a little bit. There's nothing you can do about it. It's just inevitable. But, as I said in my previous episode, or maybe the one before, I'm going to be 49 years old here soon, and I'm in the best shape I've ever been in my life. I don't say that to brag or boast. I just say because I made a decision. I made a commitment to myself that my health was not one of my number one priorities because I want to be here to make a difference in other people's lives. I want to show them that you can make a difference, that you can rise up, that you can be different. So I'd really like everybody who's listening to try the power list. Try it out, because what will happen is if you stick to it and you use it right and you win the day, eventually you win the week. And this is what Andy says. Look, he does it 7 days a week. You win 4 out of 7 days, you won the week, right? 4-3 is a win. I strive to win every day. Some weeks I do, some weeks I don't. But you win the day, you start winning the week. You win the weeks, you start winning months. You win months and you win the year. And I guarantee you that if you win the year and you really, truly put every ounce of your effort into it, I can guarantee you that in a year you will see a magical transformation in your life. I know it for a fact because I've seen it in my own. I've seen what it's done for me. And I would love to hear some feedback once you guys are using it for, a couple of weeks, couple of months. I'd really like to see what it does for you. And, the other thing that really helps with this power list is visualization. Sit down and visualize what you really want to achieve in your life. So Andy talked about it. He had a guest on this particular episode, and they talked about, look, what is it that you'd want to do? If you could do anything, what is it that you'd want to do? And write it down. And then break it down and go backwards and say, well, what would I have to do to get there? Forget fear, forget money, forget all the things that stand in your way of all the things that you think why you can't do it. Because that's just your brain trying to protect you from failure. Failure is where we learn, guys. When I coach hockey, I tell the kids, I encourage mistakes. Mistakes is where we learn. I reward mistakes. I do not reward lack of effort. If you're trying at 100% and you're making mistakes, it's okay. When you come off the ice as your coach, I'm going to say, hey, you know what? Great job, man. I know you made a mistake there. No worries. You know what you did. Next time, go out and do this. Go out and show me how to do it. It's okay. So again, figure out if you could do anything. What is your dream job, place to live, vacation, whatever that might be, right? Write it down and work backwards and figure out what steps it would take to really get there. Just dream for a few minutes and then visualize it. And then maybe take that power list after you've broken down all the steps and make those your critical tasks. Make those your daily tasks, one step at a time down the path to your dream, to your future, to whatever it is you want. And if you do it one day at a time, I guarantee you at the end of the year, if you win enough days and you win weeks and you win months, you might be there. If not, you'll be damn close to it. You'd definitely be on your way. So I'll wind this one down by saying, I'm just thankful for you guys listening. I'm thankful for the feedback. And I'm just taking one step at a time, one day at a time, trying to win each day and take one step down the path to my journey to hope. And to my beautiful baby girl, Gabriella, Papi loves you, and I will keep spreading your word and your beautiful smile all over the world. Thank you.